in Northeast Portland.
This land is owned by the Port of Portland, and it hosts a 1 megawatt community solar array.
Right next to the airport.
This particular project will be serving 150 households.
A new kind of energy is taking shape.
Yeah.
That's Evan Ramsey, Director of Renewables for the Bonneville Environmental Foundation. And he said this project, called PDX Community Solar, is breaking down barriers.
Well, traditionally, if somebody wanted to be solar powered, they would have to spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to put panels on their own home.
Usually, they'd have to own their own home too. And they'd have to be in a spot with good exposure to the sun.
With community solar, you can subscribe to a project without having to front the upfront capital.
Once it's completed, roughly 2,200 solar panels here will provide up to 1 megawatt of electricity. That's enough to power about 200 homes. But the power produced here won't flow directly into nearby residences. Instead, it'll flow into the grid, generating credits that will lower the bills of 150 residents in the Cully neighborhood.
This is a great project, I think.
Betsy Kaufman is with Energy Trust of Oregon.
The solar energy does not get delivered to their homes, but the financial benefits of the solar is delivered to their electric bill.
Back in 2016, the legislature passed a bill requiring the state to get 160 megawatts of community solar producing power across the state.
So yeah, this is really an amazing thing to see.
Energy Trust has been one of the groups working to make sure that happens.
Currently, there are 25 community solar projects that are operating, serving about 4,000 people in Oregon. And in 2025, we're expecting an additional 20 to come online.
And the savings on those utility bills, they're very real.
For people with lower incomes, it's about 40% on their electric bills.
For an average ratepayer in the Cully neighborhood, that means an annual discount of $350 to $400.
If a low-income family could save up to $400 per year on their electricity bills, that would really make the world of difference.
Santila Hawley is with Verde,
Yes.
a nonprofit that works on environmental justice issues.
The Cully neighborhood is one of the most racially and ethnically diverse neighborhoods in Portland, and also has a really large low-income population as well.
And it's just those types of folks who are often on the front lines of extreme weather.
These are the types of people who typically get hit the hardest by environmental harm.
The savings are big enough that some people thought it was too good to be true.
There were some community members who didn't really trust it, who thought that, it was a scam because they could see so much savings on their electricity bill.
So having a group like Verde, which has been working in Cully for years, was crucial.
So that's why it was really important for us to meet face to face with our community members and people in the Cully neighborhood to let them know, hey, this is real, it's amazing, and it's something that can happen and should happen.
Community solar does more than just lower the bills of Cully residents, though.
Community solar is a real powerful, scalable tool to achieve, both environmental outcomes, but also some social equity outcomes and address wealth inequality.
And for this project in particular, a local group called Leaders Become Legends provided workforce training to underserved members of the community, getting them on-the-job training in a field that is likely to see big growth in the coming years.
We've seen a lot of the workers here be very excited to work on a project of this scale in their community that benefits people that they relate to.
So with all those benefits, why don't we see fields of community solar panels popping up all over the place? That, Ramsey said, is a good question for lawmakers in Salem.
That really depends on some policy decisions that are made. Not every state has community solar in law. Not every utility is proactive in supporting these kinds of projects. And so how this scales up really depends on those policy decisions that are made.
Cale Williams, KGW News.
And Cale tells us that project cost around $4 million. It was primarily funded through the Portland Clean Energy Fund. That's the 1% tax on large businesses that voters approved back in 2018 to fund climate projects in the city. Regular viewers will probably remember that the fund ended up taking in a lot more money than originally expected. So it is good to see some of that money out the door and making a difference.